You mentioned detach yourself from the result. What that reminded me of is something that you mentioned in this book when you were talking about MS Dhoni.
As a leader. As a leader, right?
As a leader, exactly. So it's in the chapter where you talk about leaders, and of course you've dedicated quite a few pages to MS Dhoni. You said that MS Dhoni says that you should never want anything too much. His philosophy, you're speaking about MS, his philosophy was simple. When you want something too much or too badly, you get attached to it. Once that happens, emotion comes between you and what you are trying to achieve. His view was that if you want something too much, you should find a way of letting go of it and strike a middle path where you develop detached attachment. So I'd love for you to elaborate a bit more on this paragraph that I read out.
Look, that is just my perspective of what I saw of MS in those years when I was with the Indian cricket team. I mean, he was a wonderful, wonderful guy to hang around with, just to listen, and the way he operated, and the way he spoke to the team as a leader, and there was just so much to learn from him. And the more I read the Bhagavad Gita now, which I am going through, the more I read, the more I delve into it, the more I can actually now, in hindsight, connect MS Dhoni's leadership to the Bhagavad Gita, honestly. And he completely operated like that. And now I can just join those dots, you know.
Yeah.
And detached attachment is part of that, right? Even with our own children, we ideally want to be detached attachment. So many times in my life, I've experienced, friends coming and telling me, oh, my son is not doing this, or parents approaching me, my son is not doing this is a big problem. But I say, it's okay, let him make a few mistakes, it's fine, let her make a few mistakes. It's fine. That's because I have a very detached attachment with that kid.
Right.
If my kid does the same thing, I would be as panicking as that parent who was at the time, because I'm overly attached to my kid. So that is something which I try and implement in my own life as well. That is one. But I remember very well, I mean, in one of the series in Australia, I think it was a World Cup semi-final, or it was a test match in Melbourne, I can't remember exactly where he came and said, don't want it too much. Do the basics right. Do what you have to do right. Don't want it too much. Do what you have to do right. And then the results will follow. I mean, the mantra of MS Dhoni's success is, I think, he never got affected, or the results never defined him, for him. For him, it is always the process, and he's spoken about it 1,000 times across different platforms, that it is the process. And if you see the team which he leads, you will see that, the process. He sticks to simple plans. I mean, in today's world, doing the simple things is more difficult.
Exactly.
Isn't it?
Exactly.
But if you see MS, he does the simple things. He does the obvious. He states the obvious, but he does them correctly. And that is why he is successful.
Yeah. Do you think we tend to overcomplicate things, especially because in today's age, as you mentioned, doing the simple things have become so difficult? It's also the age of big data. You have a lot of technical analysis, data analysis and whatnot that goes on. And sometimes those models work for certain sporting units, but maybe there might be times when there might be a double-edged sword as well, when maybe the answer might be simple, but then you end up overcomplicating things, which is something that MS never falls prey to.
100%, and many leaders are now realizing that as well. There is a limit to data now. It's only going to get even worse with so much of AI coming in.
Yeah.
And it's going to make the decision makers' life even more difficult. Yeah. I'm guessing it's supposed to be easier, but then the human element is also so important, especially in sport. Not just in sport, maybe in all walks of life, but that the human element is so important, which a leader like MS brings in. His room door is never locked; it's always open. People can just walk in anytime, fix a tea, or watch some cricket, or play a video game.
FIFA, I think he's a big FIFA junkie.
You play those war games, or he loves those war games, and he's just so open. He connects with people, and he's always watching cricket. So the data is all getting stored in his head. So